yielded 30 minutes. Thanks for sparing us today. But truly, thank you for the heartfelt words. At this time, Mrs. McLean Delay of the wonderful state of Maryland is recognized.
So thank you to our chairman and ranking member and to our witnesses. I really enjoy this this dialogue because I grew up in rural America in Idaho, even though I represent the state of Maryland. And I really believe that rural America is the backbone of our country. I'm from our farms in Washington County and businesses in Garrett and Allegheny in my district. These are hardworking communities and deserve real support. And I too lean into the comments of my GOP colleague, and I wholeheartedly agree that pragmatic bipartisan work is being done in rural communities because they want to get stuff done and they know one another. And it's perhaps a model and a roadmap for the rest of us, and is actually something I will be releasing in comments later today. So this is a heartfelt issue for me as well. So rural development isn't partisan, but it's about investing in our communities like Western and Mountain and Maryland. And I want to highlight a couple of things. First, I won't be able to have time to ask a question, but I will be submitting for the record some questions on investing in rural Main Street and access to capital, and some thoughtful comments on lending programs and how we can better invest. But I want to turn to a topic I really love, rural broadband. Rep. Torres Small and Mrs. Brand, each of you led USDA's response to the pandemic, Ms. Brand during the early days, and Rep. Torres Small in the aftermath. And rural America was especially hit hard. I served as Deputy Assistant Secretary at NTIA in the last administration, and one thing became clear to me is that broadband is like a public utility and is direly needed to thrive. And it's only been more obvious in rural health care and education. But the President's budget proposes to slash USDA's rural broadband funding and eliminate the Reconnect program, despite strong bipartisan support. And these aren't just numbers, they reflect our values. Could you all speak to me about what are the strengths of the USDA broadband programs and what we can do to more support rural connectivity and programs which enable digital literacy and making best use of that connectivity?
When it comes to high-speed internet for rural America, Reconnect was hands down the fastest program to get infrastructure in the ground and to people. And that's why it's a crucial program to continue. A few of the changes that we made to make it even more accessible was doubling down on the grants that were brought up previously by Ranking Member Davis, and also that no match, so that communities that needed it most were able to receive those investments early. The other thing that was nice, they was connected to affordability program that unfortunately now is no longer in operation. And so if you only got one provider and they're not committed to being affordable, it can be a real challenge in the future.
Yeah, because if you get connectivity and you have access but you can't afford it, it doesn't do any good. Excellent. I would also like to follow up on staffing reductions, and I know some of you have spoken to that. But Rep. Torres Small and maybe Commissioner, in your testimony you highlighted that severe staffing reductions and hiring freezes in rural development offices, such as the staggering 90% cut in Mississippi. We're here to learn how to better support rural America, and for many of us that means crafting a farm bill that truly uplifts these communities. I'm deeply concerned about the immediate and long-term risks of losing experienced staff and institutional knowledge, which threatens USDA's ability to provide timely support, especially in rural communities. Given that, can you share an example of how implementing a new farm bill could be delayed or complicated if we continue policies that push essential staff out of USDA?
Well, as I stated earlier, we've come to the point where we've relied on the regional staff for the USDA. It's really our way of life. Our local governments know no other way, really, to access the federal funding than to go through that system. And when you're talking about dating back decades, you're talking about dating back generations. It's part of our way of life. And to have that not be fully funded and restored and have that level of service provided to us, we don't have another place to turn. It is that critical to our rural county and many others, I'm sure.
Thank you. I agree. It's heartbreaking. Anyone else?
particularly when it comes to implementing a farm bill, headquarters staff is also crucial. Making sure that you have folks, especially if you're looking at making applications easier and simplifying processes, that will require staff at the headquarters, which may not have that face-to-face connection, but are fundamental to fixing some of the long-term challenges.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. My time is up, and I yield back.